All right, let's break down the intro of Blues Deluxe. We're going to start with this riff here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the 10th fret D string with the ring finger, and then we're going to do a hammer-on from 8 to 9 on the G string. We hit the B string 8, B string 10, and then we're going to finish on the high E string 8 with a good vibrato. Here's the next little section. So for this, you can use your ring or your pinky, and we're going to do a small blues curl, which is basically just a 1/4 bend. We're then going to hit 8 on the high E string, a finger roll up to 8 on the B string, hit 10 on the G string, do a hammer on from 8 to 9 on the G string, play 10 on the D string, 8 on the D string. With a very small vibrato slash blues curl on 8. And here's the next part. So we're gonna do an accent hit on 8 and 8 on the high E string and B string. I usually do it with an upstroke, and then we stop it to make it a cut accent. After that, we're gonna hit 8 on the low E string. Using your thumb is probably the best choice. And then we're gonna slide on the G, B, and high E string. We have to cover all three of them on 8, slide up to 10. We slide there, and we cut it, and then we jump back to 8 and hit that. So that section was here's the next section. So it's going to be 13, 13 on the B string, 11 on the high E string, and then 4 bends here on 13 on the high E string. With the last one being a cut. A good sharp cut, and then 11, 13 on the B string. And then we're going to do a C minor arpeggio here. We're going to hit 12 on the G string, 13 on the B string, 11 on the high E string with a vibrato. We're going to cover double 15 on the high E string and B string, and we're going to give it a quick accent and then slide out. Here's the next part. So we're going to bend this a bit more than a full step and just a bit less than a step and a half. And it's going to be the 15th fret high E string, excuse me. And we're going to bend that and cut it. After we cut it, we bring it back down to 15 and hit that. We do it again. And then back to 15 again. We're going to do a half step bend here on 13 on the high E string with our index finger. Cut it, bring it back down to the natural position. Go to 16 with your pinky or your ring finger, whatever you're more comfortable with on the B string. Back to the high E string 13. Go back to 16 on the B string and do a pull off to 13. Middle finger is going to go to 14 on the G string. Then we're going to 13 on the B string. Back to 14 on the G string. 13 on the B string. So far, this is what we have. We have a pretty tricky bend here. So we have a bend here on 15. It's a bend release. It's a really quick bend release, and then we bend it back up again without picking, and it's a very slow bend after that, and then it's cut. So it's like 15 on the B string. So the very first bend is very aggressive. And then the second part of the bend, which we don't pick, is very soft and gradual. Until we hit the end, we give it one last aggressive push and we cut it. And then we finish on double 13. Here's the next part. This run is pretty crazy. It took me a very long time to figure out exactly how to do it. So we have a massive arpeggio riff here with a big walk down. So let's start here with our middle finger on 13 on the B string. We're then going to hammer on from 12 on the G string to 14 and back to 12 on the G string. Our ring finger is going to do a slide from 14 to 13 on the D string, and index is going to hit 10 on the D string. We're then going to switch our fingers, and we're going to go with our ring finger on 10 on the A string, middle finger 9, middle finger jumps over to 8, and that sets us up for this F7 arpeggio that we're going to play. And our next note is 7 on the D string. Pinky is going to go to 10 on the D string. Index goes to 8 on the G string. Ring finger does a small bend on 10 on the G string. Index goes to 8 on the B string. Ring finger goes to 11 and does a small bend on the B string. Index goes to 8 on the high E string. Ring finger goes to 10 on the high E string. We do a pull off with our middle finger from 9 to 8 on the high E string. Pinky goes to 11 on the B string. Index goes to 8 on the B string. Ring finger jumps to 11 on the high E string, and we do a full step bend. We cut it and we do 11 on the high E string. Index goes to 8 on the high E string. We finger roll up and do 8 on the B string. Ring finger goes to 10 on the G string, and we slide over to 11. We cut it, jump back to 10, and do a pull off from 10 to 8. And finish on 10 on the D string. Oh, so we have a couple more notes. We have a delayed hammer on 8 on the G string. All right, here's the next part. Okay, so part of this we've seen already, but we're gonna start by doing a picked slide from 20 on the high E string. And we're gonna do this by doing a rake, sorry. We're gonna do this by doing a rake. So we're going to rake the G and B string and high E string. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna fret the note that we want with your ring finger, and then we're gonna cover the rest. We're gonna cover the G string and the B string with our middle finger so that it's actually muted. Okay, we let the note ring out and then we slide out. We're gonna jump to 13 on the high E string, and we're gonna do a double bend, and the second bend is gonna drop down to a quarter. Okay, so it's like, so we don't drop down all the way, and then we hit 11 on the high E string and then 13. We're then going to go to 12 on the G string with our index finger, 14 on the G string with our ring finger, jump to 13 on the B string. We're going to bend 15 on the B string, hold the bend, put our pinky finger on 15 on the high E string, cut it, drop it. We're going to do a double bend here on 15 on the B string, drop it, and do a pull off to 13. So that last little section, here's the next part. This is a part that we've already played exactly the same way. I'm just going to play through it and not teach it. All right, here's the next part. So for this part, we're going to start here on 8 on the B string. And then we're going to bend 10 on the B string. We're going to hold that up and put our pinky finger on 10 on the high E string. And do that double stop bend. We're going to cut that, we're going to jump to the high E string, and we're going to bend it, cut it, hit 10 on the high E string, unbent, bend again, cut it, hit 10. Index finger is going to hit 8 and do a small bend here. Hit 8 natural again. Pinky goes to 11 on the B string. Index goes to 8 on the B string. Go back to 11 on the B string. We're going to do a hammer-on from 8 to 9 on the high E string. Back to 8 on the high E string. Going to do a pull-off from 11 to 8 on the B string. Finger roll down and hit 8 on the high E string. Go back to 11 and do another pull-off from 11 to 8. We're going to do a bend, release, pull-off on 10 on the G string. Hit 10 on the D string. Pinky finger is going to jump to 11 on the B string. And then we're finally going to do a bend on 10 on the G string. So that was a lot. That's a huge part. Let me recap it quickly for you. Here's the next part. So for this part, we're jumping to 12 on the G string and we're doing a bend. While we hold the bend, we hit 13 on the B string. And then we cut it, do another bend on 12, cut it, hit 12 on the G string, 10 on the G string, jump down to 8 on the G string, hit 10 on the G string, go back to 8 on the G string one more time. And then we have this combination slide pull off. So we're gonna do a slide from 10 on the G string to 11 and back, and then we're gonna do a pull off to 8. So it's like, and then finally end that with a hammer on 10. All right, here's the next part. So for this section, we're going to do a hammer on from 10 to 12 on the A string. Hit 10 on the D string. Do a slide from 10 on the G string to 12 and cut it. Jump to 8 on the G string and do a blues curl. And hit 10 on the D string. All right, here is the next part. So for this part, we're going to do another thumb hit on the low E string 8. A hammer on from 8 to 9 on the G string. Hit 8 on the B string. Finger roll down to 8 on the high E string. Pinky goes to 11 on the B string. 8 on the B string. 10 on the G string. Do a blues curl on G string 8. Hit 10 on the D string. Jump down to the G string and do on 10 and do a bend, release, pull off. And the pull off goes to 8 and we do a blues curl on it. Finish on 10 on the D string. Here's the very last part of the intro solo. So we're going to do another accent here on double 8 on the B and high E string. Then we're going to jump up to the A string 8, hit that. Our middle finger is going to hit 9 and it's going to slide to 10. we leave it there and we build our G7 chord, which is going to be A string 10, D string 9, and ring finger on the G string 10. And then jumping over to, we're going to be sliding the C9 shaped chord. So our middle finger is going to be on the 8th fret D string, index on the 7th fret G string, and ring finger on the B string 8. We take those three, we slide it up to 10, 9, and 10. Cut it and jump back. Hey guys, I hope that lesson helped. I couldn't even tell you the amount of times I tried to do it and just totally messed it up and had to restart. I tried months ago to do it, messed up so bad I had to redo everything. And then I just got super busy. So I am going to do the solo section. It is a monster, okay? I can't actually play the whole thing up to speed myself, but I do know it note for note, and I will teach that down the road. So good luck with the intro. Make sure you use a speed app like Anytune, and to slow it down and make sure you get every nuance correctly.